So it's so interesting to me that you're describing that you like hate learning or you don't like learning. Is that like you were talking about doing comedy when you were 16? Was this a way to have a good experience because education and school not so great for you?
Oh God, it's torture. I mean, I'm dyslexic. They found out I was dyslexic in the 3rd grade. And, you know, my sister, my older, like, so we're all, my dad's dyslexic. There's 5 of us. We're all dyslexic to various degrees. Like my brother, Sam, who's almost like smack dab in the middle. He's the most dyslexic. Then me and my sister, who are also in the middle a little bit more. And then the kids on the outside are like the smartest and it's not as bad. And my older sister is like, I feel like you use it as a crutch. And I go, well, there's also positivities to it, but also I'm so tired of people making fun of my intellect because I don't know how to spell or my grammar's poor when I'm the person everybody goes to when they need to write a business email. I'm the person that when they're trying to construct a joke and they're having issues, I go, give it to me and I can figure it out. So yeah, my spelling is garbage. And every time I do write an email, I'm like, please spell check this and grammar check this because I'm a moron. But at the same time, I'm the one that structurally and eloquently and knows how to like write good negotiation, knows how to write an interesting paragraph, knows how to write a funny joke. And I have benefits over there. So that part of me took years to realize was value because it wasn't valued in school. And I read a book called The Dyslexic Advantage. I ended up becoming friends with the doctors that wrote that book and ended up doing a conference for them. And one of my... I saw a talk you gave for them. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was like one of the most intriguing explanations of dyslexia that I'd ever heard. Yeah, and they were really sweet. They actually emailed me. So that was 4 years ago. And I've been getting tons. I think just people are home more, but it's been getting tons of views and I've been getting more emails about it. And the doctors, they wrote to me and they're like, hey, we just wanted to let you know that, you know, you have the highest viewed video from our conference and from our YouTube, but also you're getting the funniest, nicest, weirdest compliments. And one was a screenshot that was like a guy that was like, I'm going to fucking marry her. She's the coolest. Like, and he's like, you're getting a lot of wedding proposals. And I was like, well, that's nice. But learning is so difficult for me. And I push through it. It's important. And I feel great when I learn something. Like I said, I just learned how to do a different type of editing. And I like ran out of my room and showed one of my roommates. I was like, you have to watch this. I'm so stupidly proud of myself. So it's always been difficult for me. What has changed is both with age, reading that Dyslexic Advantage book, and then also being a little more self-aware that when somebody teaches me in a way that it clicks faster, being like, why? And going back and now knowing how to teach myself how to do stuff, or if somebody's trying to teach me something, I'll be like, this is how you have to tell me to do it. And that just, you don't have those options when you're a kid. Not only was I not self-aware of it. So now fast forward, when I try to learn something, I have to break it down. Like even my little sister, she just lost her job. And I told her, like, you got to break things down in chunks, like smaller and smaller chunks. So if what I want to do is learn how do I put a podcast online? How do I get it to Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that? That's a big question. And you don't even realize how big of a question is. So next you have to go, okay, how do I publish my podcast? How do I get my podcast on iTunes? Is it different from getting it on Spotify? How do I update it? How do I do that? Like, and I break that question down into 9 different pieces. And then I start looking either for tutorials or for people that are close to me that are willing to break it down for me even more and be slower with me. Cause like when I ask somebody to spell, I might be like, spell tomorrow. And they're like, TOM. And I'm like, whoa, you need to talk to me like you don't know me and that you're worried I might have some kind of brain disorder. I want a T, I want an O, I want an M, pause, O. I don't know how the rest of that's spelled. But you know, I want it broken down. So I feel like now I know how to teach myself. I now know how to teach other people how to teach me. And I know how to be more patient with myself. And I wish I could teach a class on just organization and just how to unoverwhelm the mind. And I've read like so many books on just that alone.
Well, why don't you teach it? I mean, like, I'm super interested in hearing this right now. Like, I think the power to teach yourself how to learn outside of the school setting, like I did okay in school. I was like a B student. If I tried and got all my homework done, I could get A's. but like it didn't make any sense to me. But if you give me a problem, and in particular, if you give me a problem and tell me I'm not going to be able to solve it, then I'm like, oh, I'm just going to rip into this thing and tear it apart. But the way you're describing learning is very different than the way that I think about things.
Also, there's motivation. So I was an A student, but I cheated. Like I honestly, I did. I remember in elementary school, my best friend would like show me her spelling test. I was never going to do well. So I would cheat off her spelling test. And then even in school, I did whatever I could. I might've not cheated on tests, but like, I just knew, to me, it was cheating. I knew this teacher likes participation. And even if I didn't know what I was talking about, I would raise my hand just to ask a question because it was considered participation. So I would cheat the system so that I would get a good enough grade, because good grades got me out of the house with the rules under my family. If you didn't get A's, you were stuck at home babysitting. You were still stuck at home babysitting, but at least you could get a little bit of freedom. So I did whatever it took to get freedom. Now, that's not helpful. To cheat the system just means that I'm somebody that doesn't know how to do things. So the motivation to learn, Libsyn for podcasts, or the motivation to understand the new tools that YouTube is offering, to understand Instagram, is for me to be able to continue to do my craft and build a fan base and get to live the life that I want to live, as opposed to learning math. There's no motivation for me. So motivation is important. Stand-up is hard. It was hard to learn in the beginning. Now it's become like an innate part of me. But when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, just trying to write jokes, I was studying. I would watch the greats. I would write on my own. I would show my stuff to people. I would bomb on stage. It was unfulfilling and heartbreaking a lot of the times, but I was just so excited at the potential that I could get better at this. And every laugh was a little sign that I was getting better, that I've had to trick myself in the same way that comedy was important to me and there were benefits. The same thing with learning a program that is outside my knowledge, and for all intents and purposes, I don't care, but it gets me to the next level and it makes me be able to show my craft to people that I wouldn't be able to show. And I now break everything down, both from why is this important, how much of it do I have to learn, and how do I break this down so that, and I think that's what makes a good teacher. All these people, like my roommate right now is reading the biography of Einstein, and he was a smart man. Clearly everybody knows that. And he became a teacher, and he was a bad teacher. It came easy to him, of course. And now, eventually he became a good teacher. But in the beginning, it's like, yeah, idiots, you should know this stuff.
Yeah, and he was not even verbal until he was 3 years old, they said. Like clearly on the spectrum, yeah. Oh, yeah, and like my friend every day tells me like a new chapter in person. He was like, he was a dick. And then the next day you're like, he's being less of a dick today. But the same thing is like, I think a good therapist has gone through some shit. I think a good teacher has had difficulty learning something and has had to figure out how to break it down so like for me, because learning is so hard for me, I break it down in even smaller bite-sized chunks than the average person, so that when my friends that are like, hey, how did you get your podcast on Libsyn? Or how did you edit this thing for YouTube? I go, okay, this is what we're going to do. I want you to go here. Do you see this? It's unimportant. Don't look at it. Just focus on this. And these are the 4 things that you should know. And like, I can just keep chunking it down to the point that when I go to teach somebody, I might've learned all this stuff, but I know that you only need to know these 3 things. And that's even better, to just unclutter the learning